We're inside for the camera.
Dee Dee! Come on.
No, okay.
Every time. She's very lax today, it's cool. Say hey, baby.
Alright guys, well, that's the house. You've seen what we do in the office, and that's been where we get most of our content in, but this is where we get the energy to make the content. So.
Yeah, we got a comment saying we should do a house tour. Hey guys, welcome to today's video. So we're gonna do our favorite recipes. We're just gonna go through our favorite dinners, favorite lunches, and favorite breakfasts, and breakfasts, plural, and show you some of the cookbooks that we like to use. A lot of this is Louisiana, so we kind of just go with our heart and pass down family recipes. But if there's anything that you want to hear more of, like see meal prep of or recipe of, just let us know down in the comments below, and we'll be sure to either film it or send you a link for the recipe. So let's get into it. So for dinner recipes, one of our staples that we use all the time is chicken marsala. It's fairly healthy. We actually use a Skinny Taste cookbook for that. It's a recipe book that my parents have that I just have a screenshot of on my phone. Another one that we use is pork chops, rice, and gravy. That's one of Cody's favorites, and that's from his mother. Yeah, and really the best part about pork chops, rice, and gravy is because it can really happen no matter how much time you have. Obviously, the longer it sits in there, the better it gets. So if you have 4 hours to cook it, it'll taste a little bit better than if you rush home to cook it and trying to feed people before they pass out and die at the end of the day. But it's a really good staple because obviously anything with rice is a Louisiana staple. So, rice and gravy, everything. Yeah,
rice and gravy plus a meat. Doesn't matter what the meat is, it's going to taste good. So that's always been a crowd pleaser at my family's house.
Yeah. We also have red or white beans and rice. That's one of the Louisiana one that I don't really have a recipe for, but I could make a video for.
Again,
it feeds a whole lot of people, so that's always. We usually like to make those on Sundays. A lot of these we make on Sundays, and then we can have leftovers throughout the week because I'm usually getting home late and he's getting home at a reasonable time on work days, but school days he gets home late too. So yeah, those are good recipes to have to eat on as leftovers throughout the week.
Beans also are one of those weird things that get better as leftovers. I don't know how that works or what voodoo magic goes into that.
It gets thicker, and so and it just sits in the seasonings and blends and everything and gets better.
I think that's the only time where people will literally fight each other over leftovers because they do get better. So
another Louisiana one is gumbo. Whenever it gets colder outside, we've started making this. You could do chicken and sausage is usually what we do because it's quick and we usually have that around the house. But seafood gumbo is also really good. We actually started a family tradition with Cody's parents where they make seafood gumbo on Christmas Eve for us, and we'll open presents. So
right.
Seafood is something I love seafood gumbo, but I think chicken and sausage is more like my all the time. I want to eat it all the time.
It's more accessible too because sometimes shrimp or other seafoods that you would put in the gumbo, they can be a little bit more expensive, but obviously you could pick up chicken and sausage at the grocery store like that. So yeah. And it's another good one because it uses rice as the base, so you can always make more rice, and it does make a lot, so you end up with leftovers. I think that's the main theme with a lot of these dinners that we use a lot and that are our favorites, because you can cook it on the weekends and obviously you can make it to Monday or Tuesday before you really need to cook again. So helps set you up for, if you have a tough Monday and Tuesday to get into the week, like if you have leftovers to come home to, that's one less thing to deal with. So that's really one of the best parts about using these.
Yep. Then we have beef bowls. This could also be chicken, but I like the beef bowls the best. But it uses flank steak, and it's basically like a stir-fried Chinese recipe. and you can put whatever other toppings you like. We usually do like broccoli and carrots with it, and maybe some peanuts on top, and your choice of sauce. But that one's
and
fairly
normally
quick.
onions and bell pepper go in there too.
Yeah, it's normally a fairly quick recipe, but it makes a lot of food, especially if you have a wok. It's clutch. So
and just as a caveat to get away from it, you could obviously do rice. That's another common theme of all these meals, but we've experimented with like rice noodles or egg noodles to go with it. Like you can
make
your
own lo mein. You could do some fried rice if you wanted. We usually just do white rice, but
yeah, but there
we're
are
a fan
other
of
ways
rice,
to do it.
so
right.
Let's see what else we've got. Homemade burgers, and you could do like with whatever you want. But I prefer sweet potato fries. Cody prefers regular fries, and there's also tater tots. You can do homemade. You could do store bought, whatever. But grill that on Sunday. Like get 2 pounds of meat and make a bunch of burgers, and that's an easy lunch too, or dinner. So what else? Stuffed pasta shells. That's one of Cody's favorite meals.
Yeah, so it basically you use like a ground beef, like dirty rice-esque filling, and then you get like the big jumbo pasta shells, and you stuff that in there, and then it's baked with sauce over it. And that's another super easy one.
That makes a heck of a lot of food, and we actually haven't done it yet. The past 2 times we've made it, we're like, this is so much food for just the 2 of us that next time we'd make it, I'm definitely going to just freeze
the
half of
leftover
it.
Shells, yeah.
Like half of it to eat on and half of it to freeze to just pop in the oven. So that's also a good one because they normally go in like a Pyrex, so you can just throw it in the oven and it just tastes like you had just made it. So
right, and that's another good one because if you do make it in the Pyrex and you just leave it in there, like we have Pyrex dishes that come with a little plastic lid over it, or you could use cling wrap or tinfoil over it. But if you have the room in your fridge, like based on what you've gotten that week at the grocery store, you could leave it in its container after you're done eating the first time. You can just let it cool off, put it in the refrigerator, and then when you're ready to eat it again, just put the whole thing back in the oven. That's a super helpful way to just reduce the amount of dishes that you need, and just reuse that Pyrex as you need to.
Then we have crock pot roast is usually how I make it. Just easy, throw everything in there, and it is like definitely a hearty meal for you with rice. And then we have
always the rice option. Don't forget that.
Barbecue chicken is another one that we use on the grill outside. Yeah. You can also use the barbecue chicken for other things. Like you could use it for meal prep and like shred it and put it on like in salads or with rice or however you want to eat it.
Right.
There's so many options with that.
And also like putting chicken on the barbecue pit, it can either be barbecue sauced chicken, or you could really just use it and make like grilled chicken. And we do that too. We've done both, where
we usually always start with the marinade with Tony's and
Italian
dressing. So.
And that's a good base, and you can use that no matter which version you're going to go into. But we've done a big bulk like value pack of chicken, and you just put it all on the grill, and you can kind of figure out what you want to do with it later, or as you go, and you can split it up. So that's another, like, if we ever go to Sam's or if we ever go to Walmart and get like the big value pack of chicken, that's normally where we're headed with that, only because we have kind of a small freezer section on this refrigerator that we're with now. So getting a big like 10-pound bag of chicken may not fit in there. So if we get it, we try to use as much of it all at one time as possible. And then
we'll save like smaller bags that can just be used as a meal, just defrosted. Hey, we have chicken in the fridge. Yeah. What do we want to make this week that's chicken, or in the freezer,
Right. So it's just another way to be efficient with, if you do buy in bulk, if you can cook in bulk, that's also helpful, instead of trying to buy in bulk and then having to store that in a freezer if you have limited freezer space like we do. So that's just an adaptation that we've gone into.
Yeah. And then the last dinner recipe we have is chicken cordon bleu meatballs, and that also comes from the Skinny Taste cookbook. We
just had that
last night. Yeah. And we were talking about how we needed to add it to the list because It's something super unique in my opinion, because chicken cordon bleu, if you're not familiar, it's chicken breast stuffed with Swiss cheese and ham. But this is just like an adaptation of it, and it uses ground chicken, and it makes them, you stuff the ham and cheese in the meatballs, and then you bake it, and it has some, kind of like a lighter sauce that's not super heavy, which is really good. And you could serve it with whatever you want. Like, it's just the meatballs is the recipe, but we like to serve it with pasta and some kind of veggie. So last night we had asparagus, and you know, you could do whatever you wanted with it. But
you could, obviously, all these dinners, especially like the rice-based ones, you know, typically we'll always have a veggie option. We'll always either do like salads, or like spinach salads are a big favorite, or we'll do like Sister Schubert rolls as a add-on. So really, no matter which recipe out of that list that you use, know that we always are adding in those other options with it to really round everything out. And then obviously the dessert stomach comes into play most nights, but that'll be for another video. We'll talk about favorite desserts.
Let's see. So for meal preps, we have, first is Cody's favorite, which is tilapia, potatoes, and veggies. Yeah,
so for the meal preps section, this is more like, what are we making to do boxed lunches for the week? So we'll either, a lot of these we'll either do 4 or 5 portions. It really just depends on what your week looks like and how many you're gonna need. And normally Friday's that flexible day where, well, I only made 4, so I'll go pick up lunch
or we'll
on
meet
Friday.
for lunch if we're able to.
Right, so it stays flexible. But the tilapia,
we try to do 4 to 5 a week, just depending on what we have going on.
Right. The tilapia, potatoes, and veggies, that's a big staple for me, especially like whenever I was training and running the marathon. So I just know how my body reacts to that. So it's just a frozen tilapia fillet, and we'll bake 4 or 5 of them, and they're super easy. So we'll bake that, and I'll do potatoes and veggies to go with it to round it out for a lunch. And then I always pack like little Nature Valley bars and little side stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna put you on something. Nature Valley has these biscuits, and they are amazing. Everyone's always like, what are you eating at work? And they are so good. I've tried every single flavor, and they are all good. They're stuffed with, if you like any kind of nut butter, that's why I like it so much. It's basically a biscuit, and the middle is some kind of nut butter, whether it's peanut butter or like almond butter, cinnamon almond butter.
Yeah.
So very good.
Yeah. And
we both eat those, and we recently found them at Sam's, so we were super happy about that.
And it's like a big adaptation on like the original Nature Valley crunchy bars, which is just a great way to get granola everywhere. So
yeah, they're not nearly as messy at all.
So with the meal preps, we'll do that plus little snacks to supplement. But like I said, the tilapia, potatoes, and veggies, I just know how my body reacts to that, and I know that I can train on that. So that's a good meal for me.
One of my favorites is buffalo chicken and rice, and then usually some kind of a veggie. We actually have those first 2 we have this week as our meal prep. But that just goes in the crock pot. It has like a sauce and a bunch of seasonings, and you just pour it over the chicken, and that's it. And then I usually let it cook for about 3 hours on high, and then I'll shred it and let it cook some more after I shred it. But that one's really good, and it kind of makes like a sauce or gravy kind of thing, and I put it over rice and have some kind of veggie with it. Yeah,
buffalo chicken is a good one for us because, hey Dee Dee, because it goes in the crock pot, and because obviously if we buy bulk chicken, if we're saying, okay, Sunday is really busy for us, we really just need to cook one thing for us both to eat lunch. Buffalo chicken's a really good one because you can obviously just put more chicken in the crock pot and make 8 or 10 lunches for both of us to have 4 or 5 days.
Right.
So that's a good one. And Hayley normally eats the buffalo chicken on rice, but I like to do the buffalo chicken on like little slider buns. So
a lot of these recipes can be adapted to what you like. Right. But also the buffalo chicken I like to do sometimes on my pizza, like if we have leftovers, and like that's a quick meal for us, like a homemade pizza. So if I have buffalo chicken in the fridge already prepped, like I'll put it on my pizza instead of like whatever that I want to use, like turkey pepperoni.
That's just want to be in the video.
Okay, but you don't need to be on the counter. Anyways, So next we have chicken Alfredo pasta, which I did the video for that for. So usually we'll do some kind of veggie with that, and it makes a lot, and you can kind of adapt it how you want with whatever type of pasta you like. And that could easily be changed for like a ziti, like with red sauce, or a like marinara bake or something, or you can change out the protein too with that. But we usually do chicken Alfredo because Cody doesn't really like red sauce, and if I'm making it, I might as well make a lot of it. So usually we'll do Alfredo. That's
really just our favorite version of put pasta in a Pyrex and bake it. I mean, we've done a lot of different adaptations, but that's really our like go-to.
Yeah. And then my favorite probably is ground beef and rice. And I don't know, it's just like a staple for me, and I know how my body, like you said, with training responds to it. It's usually my post-workout meal, so it's just a quick protein carb source for me. And then I'll add in, like depending on what I have, I'll add in either avocado and like maybe red onion or something like that, or I'll add in like Liz does with the beef and bloobs, and soy sauce usually is always, like I'll cook it with soy sauce like before I eat it, and I just season it with Tony's and garlic salt. So
also, just for anybody that doesn't know, bloobs, it stands for blueberries in ground beef and rice.
Beef and bloobs.
Yeah. Direct your comments at her, get her to explain it. I think it's weird too, but
it's sweet and salty. The soy sauce is salty and the blueberries are sweet.
Sure.
But anyways, then we have taco bowls.
That's the super easy one.
It's basically the ground beef like before, but obviously with taco seasoning, and then you can do however you want. You can make it into a salad and do just lettuce. You can add rice, like Mexican rice. You can add whatever toppings you want, black beans, corn, avocado, all of that.
With or without a tortilla. I mean, we've used that in a bunch of different adaptations, and that's another good one where you can just make one big pot and feed both of us for lunches. So obviously we gravitate towards those out of ease, but obviously there's still good meals even if you only do it for one person for a week. It's really good. Now obviously we're the kind of people that eat the same thing for lunch in a week, so if you're not that kind of person, these meals can obviously also be adapted to being dinners, and you can just share it amongst your family for one meal and then toss it or save it for leftovers. It's really your pick, but we know that these make enough food to eat at least 4 or 5 times.
Because we're the kind of people who need that structure. I mean, I did that in general just when I was tracking macros, but also it's nice to have that structure because like trying to prep something the day of or doing just sandwiches or something, we get tired of that kind of stuff. And so we want to have like for more hearty meals, I guess, that we're eating all the time.
That consistency and knowing that you have a lunch ready to go also keeps you from eating out 4 or 5 times a week. So obviously that's a financial thing, that's a health thing. But obviously there comes a point where, I've eaten it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and now I'm tired of it. I don't feel bad about throwing 1 or 2 away in favor of going to get something else, or especially we have done this before where I'll make something for meal preps and you'll make something different and we can swap off. If come Wednesday I'm tired of what I'm eating but I want one of hers, we can trade. So it just depends on what your needs are, but obviously they're adaptable. That's really the best part of all of these meals, is that they're super adaptable to whatever situation you're in.
Yep. So that's it for the meal preps. And then we have breakfast. Most of these are like sweet, I guess, breakfasts that I like bake. But my favorite's banana bread. That's just a classic.
Gotta give it up. Gotta give it up. It's so good.
It's classic.
Obviously we have a big, one of the little like bread loaf pans. So that's super easy to just bake that and then make however many little slices you need.
You can pair it with some eggs or some breakfast sausage or whatever if you want protein.
Quick grab and go breakfast. I know that I struggle with eating breakfast on a consistent basis, so this section is for me to know, hey, grab that on your way out and eat it. Otherwise, I would just blow right past breakfast because most of the time I'm getting up early and just rushing out of the house to go either to class or go to work early. So I like when we have a breakfast option around the house that is prepped, because again, it just helps me know that, hey, even if you're in a rush, grab that, bring it with you, heat it up and eat it, and you'll be set.
Yeah.
And that was another, I needed that during training for a marathon, because obviously if you skip on breakfast, you're not going to get enough nutrients in a day to fuel yourself properly into whenever you're going to train. So obviously when I'm on a training schedule, that's super necessary.
Yeah. The next one is pumpkin muffins, which I also really like. That's my mom's recipe. But Cody actually eats those. I think they're sweet enough to not be too pumpkin-y.
And
because he's not the biggest fan of pumpkin.
You don't put enough in there for it to be like super overbearing.
I think there's enough.
Starbucks.
I think it's a full can of pumpkin, but it makes like 24 muffins. So like it's spread out throughout, you know.
And also the way that recipe is structured, because it's not super pumpkin, like it's not a super pumpkin flavor. You can kind of eat that out of season and not feel weird about it.
Yeah.
So I like that one a lot.
Me too. Next one we have is protein waffles. So I use like First Form protein. I don't make them all the time. It's been a while. Didi ran out of water, I think.
She did run out of water.
You can make it for her if you want.
Okay. Keep talking.
The protein waffles. I use First Form protein. My favorites are the blueberry muffin, I think, German chocolate cake, and they actually have a chocolate banana one that came out recently that I like too. And I'll either use like Aunt Jemima, like normal mix, and then mix in a scoop of protein in it. And I usually just make like however much that makes, and either I'll, depending on the serving or whatever, it'll split between the two of us, or I'll make it for myself. But we have like a mini waffle maker that I like to use it in, because then it makes, I don't know, it makes you feel like you are eating more of it than using a big waffle maker, which we have both. But so I'll use that, and then I can't remember where I was going with that. You can top it with whatever. You can make it seasonal too. Like I think they have a pumpkin flavor too that I've used before. So you could add in like chocolate chips or white chocolate chips or nuts, and you can really make that into pancakes as well. Waffles is just easier because we have the waffle maker, and dealing with flipping the pancakes can be a pain sometimes. But that's an easy one, and you get a good amount of protein with that one as well. The last recipe for breakfast that we have, and in general, is breakfast burritos, and that's one that Cody actually introduced me to, I guess, and it's become one of my favorites actually.
Yeah, so really anything that you like to eat for breakfast is fair game in this, obviously, but what we like to use is a big pot of scrambled eggs, some cheese, and sausage. And obviously the sausage can be whatever variation of sausage you like, whether it's maple or original seasoned, whether it's regular sausage, turkey sausage. Anything's really fair game, but you can obviously sub the sausage in for bacon, but we like to use sausage just because it makes a lot of filling and it makes a lot of burritos in that way. So obviously the tortillas are of your choice, and then those we just like to individually wrap them, whether that's in cling wrap or a tin foil, so that they're easy grab and go. And you just pop them in the microwave for a little bit. It's kind of like a hot pocket, I guess.
Yeah.
And easy to make a bunch of those, and whether they're big or small, you need 1, 2, or 3 of them. It doesn't really matter.
She's about to start chasing.
Didi just had to interject right here.
I think she's chasing her tail.
Yeah. So now, I mean, that's really all of our favorite recipes that we wanted to cover in this video. Obviously, we're game to do this again. If you guys have a lot of positive feedback or want to hear about some more, we'll refresh this video at some point. But really now we wanted to just touch on some of the cookbooks that we use to obviously find new recipes that obviously can make their way into this rotation. So let's talk about these. We got 1 skillet, 2 plates. Obviously, what we'll do in the description, if we can find these cookbooks on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or whatever,
we'll leave the links down below.
We'll leave the link down below so you can get your own copy.
This is good for us for just a quick dinner, because like it only makes, I mean really it only makes like either for us to eat that night or 2 nights. So it's quick, like not so much food. So that one's recent that we started getting into.
Yeah.
We've only tried a couple out of there, but we like them so far.
But the portions are small, the cook times are low, so obviously in a pinch, if you have the ingredients, you can find something in there to cook really quickly.
This is the Skinny Taste air fryer. We've used, I think, chicken out of here or something. We need to start using it more because we love the regular Skinny Taste, which I mentioned. It's the same author, Gina Homolka. But it's the same author, and so she used a lot of the similar like substitutes for making things a little bit healthier. So I need to try eating more of those out of there. But that's where the regular Skinny Taste, which I will try to link that as well, has the chicken cordon bleu meatballs and the chicken marsala, and there's a lot of other ones that we use that we just didn't mention on our favorites. And then I love Half Baked Harvest. They have an Instagram and a blog, and she has another cookbook. And she actually just announced that she's coming out with a new one. This one's the super simple. And she just has so many things from desserts to drinks to soups to regular dinners. And so that one's a favorite of mine. Yeah,
that's a good one for, I guess, being an overall cookbook and having things that
a little bit of everything.
Yeah. I mean, there are lots of breakfasts and desserts in this book that we haven't even tried yet. And because most of the time we're looking for dinner stuff, but breakfast, salads, breads, desserts, drinks. I mean, it's kind of got a little bit of everything in that one.
Yeah. And then this is the last one we have. This is an Instant Pot one. So whenever Instant Pots are actually super quick if you don't have one. And we do use it sometimes. We do use it sometimes, but probably not as much as we should. But we do like this cookbook for that. We have a couple that we've used out of this too. So.
And we like this one. A lot of the recipes in this cookbook, either you add rice in there or it can be served over rice. And obviously, with all the rice-based dinners that we like, this is a good one. And this is a good, like, set it and forget it kind of meal where you can just put everything in the pot, and however long it takes, you can set it, go do other activities that you need to get done around the house or elsewhere, and then come back and it's done. So that's another good part of how we like to cook dinners is if we can put something in the Instant Pot or the crock pot, that's very helpful for us.
Yeah.
Obviously,
especially if you're like eventually whenever we have kids and everything, that'll be good too. That we'll bring into that because I'm sure we'll be having to do other things and not having as much time to cook. So I didn't have anything else, did you? No,
I mean, again, like I said, we'll do this again sometime if you guys have positive feedback and want to hear more of the recipes that we like to use. Obviously, we have other cookbooks that we use that we pull stuff from, but these are just some of the
main ones,
favorites that we pull down more often than some of the others. So
yeah. So make sure that you like this video and comment down below with any of these you maybe want to see videos of or other future videos, ideas that you have for us. Hopefully I will be doing a vlog soon. I've got a really busy week, but think it might be a good time to squeeze in a vlog somehow. And then we've got holidays coming up, and so we'll be posting some more things. And now that basketball's going, after this week, things will slow down a lot for me. So hopefully I'll be able to get out some more content for you guys, and Cody as well once he's done with his exams. Yep. So just let us know down below, and we really appreciate all of your support that you've been giving us so far. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the next one. And we'll see y'all next time. Bye, guys.
Thanks.